In this video, we're going to do a recap on day 3 of the Wright Satoshi trial. Recap, talk about Dr. Wright on the stand, and also reinforce and discuss the strategy about impeachment, impeaching the witness, and how this could possibly play out. So, all right. So today, Dr. Wright was back up on the stand. Beautiful, like a nice dark black suit. He had a dark coat on, or actually a dark shirt on. He had bright red socks. Some of the pictures from the courtroom that you could see when he was out on the street. And so it's he walked straight up there, basically got into it, and he was on the stand the entire time, answering questions regarding the specific documents that have been submitted. Kind of a little bit of background. There's over 20 documents that are primarily being relied on by Wright, according to his side, to determine that he's Satoshi Nakamoto. And then there's like another 50 documents on in addition to that. So it's extremely long list. And what basically was discussed today, a couple of things so there was a lot of back and forth about some of the timestamps on these documents that were submitted to the court. And it's, you've got this little nuance with these documents. Like, you're basically looking at this from a forensic side where a document has been submitted electronically. However, the electronics timestamps are the one side, the COPA side, is claiming that, Wright says the document was, let's say, from 2008. The document itself, it was, reviewed in a format that shows footprints from like 2015 or 2016, say from InChain, one of the Wright's companies that so COPA's trying to discredit the credibility on that. But there's something called Citrix. It's a software program that apparently, Craig says that the timestamps can be different when he uses software like Citrix. There's also of course, the COPA's lawyers up there just hammering on the credibility of Dr. Wright and the authenticity of some of these documents. Wright says that he could bring in Mr. Stephen Matthews, to verify some of these things. This is before the lunch break. And then Shoesmith, who's Wright's attorney, said that several of the documents not submitted and allegations around forgery, they could be very different, because there was additional documents that COPA was trying to get in, and there was an objection from Craig Wright's attorney, basically stating that, hey, these weren't on the list for the alleged forgeries. And then the court discussed that, well, these were actually about not necessarily forgeries, but whether or not the documents were authentic. They were trying to authenticate these documents. They basically used it in a different word. They're going to look at these anyways. So some of the documents that were showed were not by him. Sebastian had posted one. Craig didn't know the names of some of the other judges in the other court. He smiled. Actually, it was kind of a funny moment. There was another document about a Bitcoin law document from like 2005. Craig said it represented studies from that time, and but the metadata saying it was from 2008 from the other lawyer, and the other, COPA's lawyer saying it was a complete forgery. So then a paper about Bitcoin had some additional metadata about passing the creation date. Mr. Madden, the Madden report, had found the XML formats and fonts in metadata not released at documents of the creation time. So Craig had argued that the judge's technical background is really unique. This Judge Mehl, he's got an engineering background, so he's very unique. And so Craig had actually complimented on that, being that he was an expert in law, of course, and then also in engineering and some science background, it looks like. So the judge actually used to instruct old lawyers, apparently. So it's really interesting, because the dialogue, I've never seen a trial where the witness is conversing with the judge. I've never seen that before. Maybe this is just me, but I'm not familiar with that. And here's Dr. Wright is saying he's responding. So he asked him a question. Did you basically opposing counsel's trying to Copa's trying to get the document into evidence, saying, did you sign this document? Do you recognize this document? Yeah, I recognize that document. And he's trying to authenticate it and ask him, admit that this document is forged or you tampered with this document. I'm not going to admit that. And he has his rebuttals, reasons why. And then he will rebut that. Then he will go over to the judge and say, now, my lord, let's discuss this matter. And then he has a conversation with the judge, they call my lord, and the court doesn't seem to mind. It doesn't seem to mind at all. They're having this is the witness. I get it when you're the parties. You're the party. You're the plaintiff and the defendant. You're the attorney representing. Of course you're talking to the court, but this is the witness. This is just very abstract. I have not seen this before. So I think it seems to be a good relationship though. I mean, which is I'm just still a little bit, my hair a little thrown back. I've never seen a witness communicating with the court like this. So it's rather unique, definitely in Wright's favor that the court's got a good relationship with him. It appears that really regarding these experts, all right, so you've got the Madden report and there's other experts that Copa's bringing in to try to discredit these documents. And it's really complex forensic stuff where we're talking like this document has metadata on it and the metadata says that somebody looked at the document, let's say in 2016 or even 2020, but Craig's saying it's from 2007. And then Craig's basically, they're asking him, how is it from 2007 or 2008 if it's got this footprint on it from a recent date? And he's like, well, because that document is from, my attorneys. They had the document. Enchain had the document. Other people have had that document. It's not just been in some cold storage somewhere. So he's basically backing this all up with, and what's unique is the experts. He's strategically discrediting the experts very systematically. So it seems like, what I believe is going to happen is that he's building the foundation right now. It's almost like acting as his own counsel because his counsel's, the one from yesterday, he went home, looks like he went home sick or he wasn't there today because the temperature in the room was like 85 degrees. There's so much heat in the room, just body temperature. I guess the room is packed full of people. I mean, for whatever reason, they've just got the temperature cranked way up to 85. And I imagine that's very uncomfortable. Wright had to take off his jacket, and then opposing counsel, one of the counsels had his jacket off, and so they were really melting from the heat of the courtroom. And then the first counsel for Wright, he had gone home there. He wasn't even there. So they had a sub guy in there and he wasn't saying too much. He had a couple of minor objections. However, they weren't, felt like Wright was doing all the litigating for himself. So really compliments to Wright. I know he's a doctorate in law, but it's apparently that no matter who is talking, Wright's outsmarting everybody, because the guy's just overly qualified and overly, in every single area with, 34 master's degrees. So all these different subject matters of forensics, math, science, law, complex algorithms, of course, cryptography, and all these different software programs. Not only does he know it, but he's got some sort of certifications in each one of them. So he's challenging each one. And so when they say, hey, these latex files, for example, one of the programs that they're saying he used, these are no good. These are forged. He's like, well, let's discuss that. And he brings up a very articulate argument. And then Copa's counsel is up there just like going like this with his hair, taking his glasses off. And then the pen is in his mouth, just like wanting to say something out. But like I said, Copa needs to go out and get Harvey Specter. That was my campaign yesterday, because if Harvey doesn't come on the stand, if you guys haven't ever watched Suits, Harvey's the man, so you bring him in there, he's the gunslinger. And I'm just trying to be open and honest that if Copa doesn't bring in Harvey or something similar to him, I don't know how they're going to. Wright's just holding his ground right now. That's just my interpretation. It wasn't the same today as good as it. Wright didn't do as well today on day 3 as he did on day 2. Day 2, he had Copa's attorney backed into. I mean, literally, he banged him right up into the freaking corner of the ring and bloodied him up really good. This time it was a little more neutral. I mean, I would say it was definitely the day 3 round went to Wright, but it wasn't. It wasn't like a slam dunk. It was closer, because Wright seemed uncomfortable on a couple of the questions. But I'm telling you, it's a high burden. It seems like it's a really high burden for COPA to meet on this, because they've got to totally discredit the guy and then give credit to all these experts. So that seems to be a real issue, is how COPA is going to keep these experts in the game. They must be thinking about this. Their guys are going to watch my video, I'm sure. Somebody will get it to them, and ultimately they're going to realize this strategy is coming. They know the law. But ultimately, I want to mention about the impeachment theory a little bit more. Basically, it's Rule 702 in the USA. So in our law here, it's Rule 702, federal rule. Basically, it's you can attack like a robust examination of an expert's qualifications, methodology, facts, data relied on, applicable principles, and methods and facts of the case. So this can be attacked. And so there's going to be some sort of a procedure like this. It's rules of evidence that can be used to attack of these expert witnesses. Because if they're saying they've got expertise in areas that they're not certified in, that would be what Wright has talked about today on the stand, is that he's considering Mr. Madden biased, totally biased, because he's overstepping his bounds of expertise. Mr. Madden has certain qualifications. He's an expert in psychology, Dr. Wright said. I'm not sure he has certain qualifications as an expert. However, he's making statements and determinations for expertise in other areas which he is not, Wright claims, is not qualified to do so. And therefore the bias comes in. So that could be potential grounds. An expert's talking about subject matter. Let me give you an example. If an expert's an expert in English language, and all of a sudden the expert's trying to give you expertise on Spanish, well, that's not an expert statement. In fact, that's totally overstepping the grounds, and it's reason for bias. The expert's supposed to be on neutral ground, very neutral, not biased. So it's this whole impeach the credibility of the expert, I think is building the foundation right now. That's what I believe we've got to like kind of a couple moves ahead down in the courtroom that's going to be coming. So we'll see how that plays out. But again, I'd say that overall, if I could give a little evaluation, it was definitely round 3 to Wright, but it wasn't. It was a closer round. Round 3 was much closer than yesterday. Yesterday was the COPA side got bloodied and banged up against the wall. And I spoke on the phone with Xiaowei last night for like an hour. I was literally just recapping with him, and we're gonna do a meetup out here in San Francisco. I got a great place for a meetup we're gonna do. So that's coming. So I'm gonna schedule something, and any of the guys in the Bay Area, if people want to fly out here, I've got an amazing place. I'm gonna do a video actually promoting this place. It's so good that we can do the meetup outside. It's just anyways, it's going to be an amazing location. So we'll do that. I'm on the phone with him for like 45 minutes or so, and we're going through all this and kind of mapping out like how the hearings. And one of the things that he reminded me about, and I did too, as I said, really, I don't, in no way do I want to give the impression that I'm trying to say, oh, Craig's going to win. I want Craig to win. He's going to win. He's going to win. Like, that's not, I'm avoiding making a conclusion here, okay? Because conclusions, I understand this stuff. They're for weak people. I mean, I'm not saying weak. Okay. I'm not making a conclusion, all right? Meaning that I'm just trying to evaluate what I'm seeing as neutral as I can. So if COPA steps up, and they get right up against the corner, and he's sweating bullets. He's got freaking sweat coming out of his eyes. He's sweating blood. I'm going to say, oh, Wright's really backed up. He's hurting, man. I will be the first to know that this is the game. This is what I'm seeing on the whole thing as it's coming down and pressure's heating up. But right now, I'm just being as truthful as I can. And right now, COPA's definitely down a few points. It's funny though, there's some other guys in the courtroom, some cats, they go by cat names on Twitter, or cats or bots or whatever, the trolls, memes, meme coins. And they're on the other side, on the BTC side. So it's funny, they're in the courtroom, and, I'm reading some of the tweets, and they're saying that they're winning hands down, and Wright is sweating up there. So you hear different feedback. So, I mean, I'm willing to listen to that side. It's interesting. They're in the courtroom. They're seeing a different perspective. And so I'm trying to like gauge this from all perspectives. I totally am open-minded to hearing from those guys. Hodlnot is one of them. I have respect for the guy. He went up and sued Craig in there was a lawsuit that went up in another case in Norway. I don't know if he does talks or whatnot. I think he's just on Twitter. So, but I'm always open to talking to somebody like that if they're open to. I mean, yeah. So that being said, this little recap on day 3. 2 a.m. tomorrow, it's the courtroom again. So it's like sleep schedule's kind of screwy right now on this thing. It's like you're up at 2, getting to court, following this through. There's a massive Twitter feed. If you're not on Twitter, go and you want to learn more about, like, you can tune in to the Twitter feed live. And usually there's like a Bitcoin space. Developing Zach, he's been hosting a lot of spaces on there in the morning. And you can listen in to the commentary about the courtroom. Because I don't know if they're allowing people to get in the courtroom still or what. But I mean, I did a couple videos on how to do it. But, ultimately, a lot of people are going to the Twitter space and they're listening in there. Or I'm not listening in, but they're talking about it there with what's going on live. And then there's doing like a lot of spaces after to recap on it. So I have some freaking really cool stuff coming up on interviews. I've got my calendar mapped out. So I will tell you, actually, this video is going a little bit long, but I've got a big one going down tomorrow with the Titan of blockchain. All right. That's my nickname for him. The Titan of blockchain. The man himself, Gavin, coming at you tomorrow. It's going down. I will see you guys at the very top. Be sure to subscribe. I'll put a hand cash link in this video here below. We got to get the word out there. And if you're in San Francisco, keep in mind, I'm going to be doing a meetup out here with Xiaowei and the other guys in the Bay Area coming up real soon. I'll see you at the top.